All right, I am back and I am so sorry. Good afternoon and welcome to a special edition of Let's Talk. I don't have my script in front of me, so I am really playing this thing by winging this thing this afternoon. But anyway, let me kind of do my preliminary thing. First of all, we are on hiatus this week, this month for the next couple of weeks. So I'm just letting you all know that we will have some live broadcasts and some pre-recorded broadcasts and some special broadcasts. So if you're accustomed to joining us at 12 o'clock, don't worry, you won't miss out on anything. You won't come to a dead screen. You will actually see some programming coming from us here at the Washington Informer. And I'm so excited with some of the programming we're going to bring to you over the next couple of weeks. Also, I just want to tell you that, again, I always like to do this. I hope that you've had a chance to pick up this week's copy of the Washington Informer. We have a great issue again this week, so much going on in the city. And I want you all to kind of check out this story on the 51 Steps Towards a Unified Nation. It's a pilot app virtually revives 250 years of DC and national history. This is something that's happening here in the DMV. A lot of local folks are involved in trying to pull this together. And so, I'm a history buff anyway, so I hope that you will pick up the copy and read that. And as you know, we have a Ward 8 election that's coming up on Tuesday, April the 15th, but the polls open today in several locations in Ward 8. So make sure if you can go on out and get vote now, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, the election is on Tuesday, July the 15th. So I want to make sure that you're there and that you can participate. We need you to participate in the Ward 8 race. And so, go on out and vote. And we will hopefully have a new or a returning. We don't know. There are 4 people running for the Ward 8 race. Yes, we're having so many technical difficulties today. I'm so sorry. But anyway, okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, I'm feeling much better now because my script disappeared, everything disappeared. And before I bring our guest on, I want to make sure that we're in good shape here. What else did I want to tell you? Oh, yes. Thank you all. So many of you all who responded to the broadcast we had that Channel 4 did on us not too long ago. Media in general is in a crisis, and the Washington Informer is no exception. And some of you all heard the broadcast that Channel 4 did on some of the challenges that we're dealing with here at the Washington Informer. And it's not just us. I mean, our sister paper, The Afro out of Baltimore, has actually had there's a story that you all might read in their publication where a incarcerated person who was getting the newspaper, the prison wrote the paper a letter and told them that they could no longer provide them with their subscription because they wrote a story about George Floyd. And it was probably for the anniversary. And they said that it would agitate the inmates. So consequently, they would have to cancel that subscription for the inmate. I mean, this stuff is coming from all kinds of places. So, we have to be steadfast, make sure that we continue to support our institutions. As someone said to me the other day, they said, Denise, not only is it the press, it's our churches, it's our Black-owned businesses, it's our organizations. I can't help everybody. And you're right. We all can't help everybody, but we all can help somebody or some institution that we really care a lot about. And a lot of you all have been doing that, and I'm so happy for that. So now that we have things kind of in order, it is my pleasure now to introduce this segment that is sponsored by the DC Public Service Commission, which is the independent quasi DC judicial agency that oversees the electric, natural gas, and local telephone companies in the District of Columbia. And the person with oversight of the DC Public Service Commission is its chairman, Emile Thompson, who is here today to share with us, consumers, what we need to know to help manage our energy bills and ensure our homes are prepared for the summer heat like what we're experiencing today. So it's my pleasure to introduce Chairman Emile Thompson. Welcome to Let's Talk, and thank you for joining us today.
This segment is brought to you by Public Service Commission, District of Columbia. Your energy, your voice.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you, Denise?
Oh, you see me struggling over here, but we're
never.
This is one, you know, when they have those shows and they have the bloopers.
Yeah.
I think we had a couple today, so I appreciate your patience and being with us today. So, you know, it's hot and we're trying to stay cool, and so we're so glad that you're here to talk to us about all the things that you all are doing over there at the Public Service Commission. So I did a little intro, but if you don't mind, would you tell our viewers really sort of, you know, a snapshot of what this Public Service Commission does and what your role is there?
Well, I think you said it best, but you know, I'll just reiterate: the Public Service Commission of the District of Columbia. It's an independent agency, and our mission is to ensure that all residents and businesses in the district have safe, reliable, and affordable utility services, which means electricity and natural gas and landline telecom service.
Interesting. I'm so glad that you mentioned businesses, because I should have thought of that because, but I was thinking totally residents. So I'm glad that you emphasized the fact that it's businesses. So if you don't mind, Chairman Thompson, let's start talking about the Summer Ready DC campaign, because that's why you're here today. And it's probably, you know, the priority for the DC Public Service Commission right now.
It is. And so the Summer Ready DC campaign is a campaign that's launched by the commission, and it's a seasonal initiative focused on preparing residents and businesses for the increased energy demands and safety needs during the summer months. So it's really about education and awareness. And what we like to do is we provide residents with tools and tips to manage energy use efficiently to help reduce their bills during high demand months. You know, our goal is simple. We want to keep DC residents and businesses informed, safe, and empowered as the temperature rises and energy usage peaks.
Yeah, and so I mean, let's get specific about some of the things that consumers can do to keep their energy bills manageable.
Yeah, I think there's several simple tips that residents can use. The first one is usually the most controversial, and that's adjust your thermostat. If you can bear it and you're okay, you know, rise your thermostat to about 78 degrees when you're home, and maybe a little bit more when you're not home. That every degree higher can save up to 10% on cooling costs. Use fans wisely. So whether it's a ceiling fan or the box fans, that can help circulate cool air in your home and make your house feel cooler without having to lower the thermostat. Seal and insulate, making sure that there's no cool air escaping your house through gaps in windows or doors by using weather stripping or caulking. Closing your curtains and blinds to make sure that the sun rays, that heat from the sun isn't coming through your windows during the day, especially on south and west facing windows. And then use your appliances efficiently. Run dishwashers, ovens, and dryers during cooler evening hours to avoid heating your home during peak times. And then last but certainly not least is you can always schedule a home energy audit, and that will allow you to take advantage of free or low-cost home energy audits offered by your utility company, Pepco to be specific. and they can help identify areas where you can save energy.
So we're going to get, I guess, do the energy bills, well, I guess each utility sends out its energy bills at, whatever cycle that they have. So we're going to get probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 energy bills this summer before we enter into the fall. What are some of the things that we should look at on our energy bills that really help us to understand if we're making a difference? I mean, it's good to have those tips, but how do we really know, other than, I guess the cost, that we're really making a difference if we follow some of those tips and others that we might use ourselves?
Yeah, so one thing I would say is when you look at your bill, you certainly look at your usage amount. That's certainly key, and you see how much you're using. But you can also make smarter energy choices by knowing when, how, and where to use your energy. And there are a few ways you can do that. You can use your online utility portal. Again, reviewing your bill to look at your usage, enrolling in budget billing, and then again, really scheduling that home energy audit. That will help you, identify some places where you maybe can reduce some of that energy usage and energy loss in your home.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, again, like as we say, that the elephant in the room, we keep talking about that, is the fact that some of the utilities, I think it's Pepco, is scheduled to have, or if they haven't already, increases in their rates
Yes.
on the energy bills. And so at the same time, while we're reducing our use of energy, we're seeing an increase in cost. I mean, how do we weigh those things out, or how do we balance that?
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that energy increase, that increase from the Pepco bill. And so what's going up is what they call the SOS rate, and SOS rates are it's standard offer of service rates that the default electricity supply that's going up. And that's if you don't have a third party energy supplier. And so many of the residents in the District of Columbia use SOS energy from Pepco. And it's the price of the for the electricity that you use. That's a big part of the bill. And the reason why it's going up is not that anything Pepco itself is doing, but this rate is derived by the market, and it comes through an auction. And so what we've seen in the market is that there is retirement of generating facilities across the region. There's less new generation coming online. And then we always hear about these data centers that they have an increased demand. And so that's really causing a shortage, which is then driving up prices. And so what you're seeing is that SOS rate had a big jump that occurred on June 1st of 2025.
So, I mean, how do consumers manage that, though? What would you advise us to do, in addition to sort of cutting our energy usage, but we're going to see an increase, or it's going to balance out? Is that correct? I mean, what does that mean for us, for
So
residents,
yeah,
businesses?
simply put, I think, it does mean that those prices are going to go up. I can tell you that according to our analysis, we expect that the average bill is going to be using the same amount of energy is going to go up $20 per month, right? And so that's a huge increase. And so that's why we're really out here stressing some of those things we talked about earlier about how you can reduce your usage, because that's probably the most powerful tool that you have to reduce your usage. We certainly have some different programs, and I'll talk more about that later, that people can enroll in for assistance. But I think the first line of defense is really reducing that usage.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk a little bit about that now, because I mean that's what people hear. My energy bill is going to go up,
Yeah.
and I'm barely sort of squeaking through right now. What are the programs or that you all have in place, or that the utility companies have in place, that consumers can tap into?
Yeah. So first, I'll talk specifically about some of the programs that we have, and then I'm going to talk about some broader things. But first, the commission operates a number of utility discount programs. One for customers on Pepco, and then customers at Washington Gas, and they're for low to moderate income individuals who are making uh, up to 80% of the area median income. And if you qualify for these programs, you then qualify for a deduction on your bill that's equivalent to the distribution rate, which is about 30% of your bill. So that could be a real savings. So there's that, and that's on the Washington Gas and the Pepco side. There are also programs such as that are run through the Department of Energy and Environment that offers discount programs, bill credits, weatherization services. The DC Sustainable Energy Utility also offers rebates and discounts. One of the things I would like to mention is the here to help dc.dc.gov website, which is a website that we started in conjunction with some of our partners about 2 years ago to really put the information out there about all the various resources. And so that website is here to help dc.dc.gov. If you go there, it lists all the programs. I mentioned before about the energy audit. If you're in the market for new appliances, you would want to look for Energy Star appliances that use less energy. You could look at things such as switching your lights, your light bulbs to going to LED lighting. Those have lower energy costs. So those are a lot of. I started first with the programs, but then also talked about some of the practical things you can do. But all these things certainly make a difference.
I mean, if you could, I'm not trying to make you a soothsayer, Chairman Thompson, but if you were to look into a looking glass, I mean, are you are we as consumers really facing sort of a continuous increase in costs of energy? And is that why this is so important to look at alternative or ways to save energy? I mean, it's we often see rates go up. We never see them go down. So how do we prepare for that?
No, Denise, that's a great question, and I think you hit the issue on the head. When we talk about electric supply rates, these are something that the commission doesn't control. This is purely determined by market forces. It's not money that Pepco's putting in their pocket, that their executives are taking home. It's nothing of that. It's really a market fundamental thing. And so when you think about data centers and how AI is becoming such a big thing and so prevalent, well, they require a lot of energy to operate. And so where we used to have a very abundant electrical grid that had a lot of excess energy, it's not the case anymore, right? And so with that scarcity, it's driving up prices. And so until we can get more resources, generating more electricity, you will see this increased price for a while. And that's unfortunately just
It's where we are.
That's where we are. And so that's why the mantra of conservation and taking advantage of these programs is so important, because you don't want to be stuck with these high bills if you can avoid them for a long period of time.
On the flip side of that, and I don't know if this is a question you can answer, but as we are into these, hot days, particularly, we know that there are a lot of people who may not have access to air conditioners or fans, and especially seniors that may be living in really, really hot houses or hot places. Do you have any recommendations for what people could do to, sort of look out for their neighbors?
No, so I have some general recommendations. I don't have them all in front of me, but I know, one, DCDPR does a fantastic job with cooling stations in the outdoor water parks, splash pads. And that's more so for kids and young adults in the pools. But those are excellent resources. I know the mayor is very intentional on very hot days to put out the advisories and try and set up cooling stations throughout the city. For our older residents, there's certainly a lot that I think it's the Department of Aging. There you go. That name. The Department of Aging does around that. And so while I don't have the specific programs off the top of my head, I would certainly encourage people to go and reach out to the Department of Aging to figure out and hear what they're doing around this time. Because I know they are focused on the most vulnerable of us during this time.
Yeah, and I just wanted to throw that at you while you were here. I know that's not what the Public Service Commission does, but it's still probably one of the things that you all think about,
Yeah,
before even approving rate increases and how, people can save on their energy. It's those people who, or those in our community who are most vulnerable. Um,
correct.
and at the same time, we were all sitting back, amazed, shocked, saddened, whatever with what's happened in Texas,
Mm,
and we've had some pretty bad storms
right.
here in DC, and we probably in the DC area, and we probably are anticipating many more
Yeah.
like that. Does the Public Service Commission look at that as well? Uh,
Yeah. So sorry, we certainly do. And so I'll talk about it from a few different angles. Certainly with respect to when the storms come through, we're getting briefings from Pepco to make sure that their infrastructure is going to be okay during the storm. And then if there are outages, we're receiving timely updates about what they're doing to bring in restoration crews to make sure that people can get their power back as soon as possible, because we certainly know that electricity, cools homes, and not having a cool home, especially with the vulnerable population, could have some pretty drastic consequences. So we're certainly focused on it from that point of view, making sure that the available resources are there and making sure that Pepco is doing what they need to do. And I think they've been a pretty excellent partner over these past few storms, quickly getting power restored to the customers. Washington Gas, on the other hand, most of their pipes are underground, and so they're a lot of times they're immune to the storms because the pipes are underground and the pipes aren't as affected as much. But still, being very vigilant on that end to make sure that their system is up to date, safe, and reliable, because you have to have your energy services.
Pardon me for asking you a question that I should know the answer to, but I don't. Why isn't water included under what the Public Service Commission oversees?
Great question. Great question. So that's really a statutory thing, but typically, well, you know, Washington Gas and Pepco are private entities, whereas DC Water is more of a quasi-governmental body, right? They're not a for-profit entity, and so across the nation, when you look at a lot of the commissions really have regulatory oversight, really on just the investor-owned. Some of them have oversight over the municipality. The municipal organizations, but it's really over the private entities. And so, as a result of the statutory setup of DC Water just isn't under our purview.
Yeah, well, this is Denise talking, not the Washington Informer or anybody else, but the greatest increase I think everybody has experienced is the cost of water in the District of Columbia. And I don't know who oversees that, but I'm glad that you all are in place to oversee what the utilities are doing and reaching out to communities to let them know about some of the programs that you put in place. If folks want to know more about the Summer Ready DC initiative, how would they contact you and or the Public Service Commission to get more information?
Yeah. So, great question. So, I'm looking. Yeah. Okay. So we have a website, of course, dcpsc.org/Summer Ready DC. And that's
Mhm.
going to have all the information about the Summer Ready DC program. And you can also call the commission, and our Office of Consumer Services can answer questions not only just about Summer Ready DC, but any questions that consumers may have about their bill, and connect you to the right people, even if it's a bill in dispute. So certainly a lot of resources there. And then the other one I would just highlight is the one I highlighted earlier, which is the here to help dc.dc.gov, which is a great website if you're looking for that additional assistance on your bills.
So one of the things I got a little excited when you said call. That means somebody's going to answer.
Oh,
What
yes.
what's that number?
That's a great question. I should know mine. It's 202
Uh-huh.
um oh 7 727. No, sorry, 202-626-5100.
Okay, we're going to put that up.
Okay.
Let's repeat that number.
202
Mm-hmm.
626 5100.
Fantastic. Yeah, because some folks don't want to. Well, first of all, they might not be able to get their computers up because they don't have electricity, so they want to try the phone
Yeah.
to call somebody, and so that you all do answer. That's amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we have several representatives who are there and willing to talk and want to help. So
Right,
it's
right.
great.
Well, is there anything else the Public Service Commission does that we haven't talked about, just generally speaking, that you might want to share with us?
No, I think, and I always thank you for your partnership because we're on here talking frequently with you. But I think the important message really today is about this rate increase and what you can do to take agency over and not let the rate increase control you. And so I want to make sure we keep that as the main point of today's discussion.
That's good. Well, I'm gonna take us one step further before I
Okay.
let you go, because while we're talking about summer heat, we know that all the retail stores now are putting their winter things on winter stock out there, which means that we have a winter that we're looking forward to. No, I don't know if we're looking forward to it, but that's coming regardless. Is there something consumers can do now to prepare for uh, the cold when it comes? Is it particularly if they're having problems paying bills or what have you? But is there anything you could advise folks now besides get a blanket while it's on sale or something?
Well, great question again. And, a lot of the same principles that apply in the summer apply in the winter. So getting that home energy audit, making sure you're filling those gaps, right? Because just like the cold air will go outside in the summer, the cold air will come in the winter. So you want to make sure you're sealing the gaps in your doors and windows. You also, can adjust that thermostat appropriately so that you're not paying as much for heating, right? So maybe you go to 68 and you have that blanket you talked about. So there's a lot of different things. We also run a winter campaign called Winter Ready DC. I'm sure we'll be back to talk about that. But I would say, again, the same principles: get that home energy audit, look for drafty windows and doors, and focus on that thermostat. People always want to have that optimum temperature, and maybe that optimum temperature is costing you an extra $15 to $20 a month. And so just being a little bit more flexible with your comfort levels can go a long way. And of course, the utility discount programs are always very helpful.
Right. Okay. Well, I really, really thank you for being with us today, and for coming on and sponsoring these segments throughout the year to help prepare consumers for one, to save money. That's the bottom line: to save money and not throw money away because we're not conserving, which is important. So again, we want to thank the DC Public Service Commission and yourself for showing us how to safeguard our communities, and for sponsoring this segment. And we look forward to seeing you probably in a month or so. But to our viewers, remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to managing energy use this summer. So until next time, we ask you to stay cool and stay informed. And you too, Chairman Thompson, you stay cool and keep us informed. We appreciate you.
Will do. Thank you as always. I appreciate it, Denise.
All righty. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
How to read and understand your electricity bill. Ever looked at your electric bill and felt confused? You're not alone. Let's break down a typical electric bill together. Electric bill summary. At the top of your bill, you'll find a summary of charges, your previous balance, any payments, and new charges. This gives you a quick overview of what you owe and when it's due. As part of the amount due, it breaks down the bill into two main components: delivery charges, also known as distribution charges, and supply. Your supply can either come from Pepco or a third-party supplier. Details of your electric charges. Now let's dive into the details of your electric charges section. You'll see how many kilowatt hours you used. You control the number of kilowatts used each month depending on the usage of electricity within your home. Under delivery charges, there are different types of charges, such as a flat customer charge, an energy charge, a residential aid discount surcharge, and an underground project charge. A section detailing supply charges reflects the cost of producing electricity. In the district, you have the option to select a third-party supplier that may offer variable rates or differing renewable energy options. Supply charges include both transmission services and generation services. Finally, the energy usage graph shows your monthly electricity consumption and temperature averages over the past year, helping you compare your usage over time and explaining seasonal variations. Understanding your electric bill helps you make smart energy choices and potentially save money on future bills.